Welcome to tonight's seminar. Tonight we're going to cover the first three steps, what you need to know and do before you remodel. Hello, my name is Jim Molinelli, the Remodeling Professor. I help homeowners to remodel with confidence through my course, Remodeling Success Blueprint. Let's get started with tonight's presentation. How do most people start a remodeling project? The average homeowner really has no idea about how to start the remodeling process, so they guess. They know that they are unprepared. They know that they are not familiar with the process. So what they do is they figure that if they call in some professionals and they ask them for help, that will be a way to get off on the right foot. So they call usually remodelers, and they call one, two, three, four, maybe five, and they have meetings with these randomly called remodelers to talk about their project. Of course, their project is very nebulous at the time, and so they get a lot of different opinions about a lot of different things regarding the project, but they don't have one solid point of reference. And they certainly aren't well prepared themselves and well skilled at knowing which advice to accept. So let's look at some of the issues that they face. First of all, there are no easy button solutions in remodeling, okay? When you try to call up a service that sends you contractors, or you try to just call in a contractor thinking, well, maybe they will help me to do my job properly, you're looking for an easy button solution. And there are no such things in remodeling. There are only lazy button solutions. The bottom line here is that you need to do some work. You need to get prepared. You need to have a clue where you're going and what you're doing. Otherwise, problems ensue. So my advice is never let anybody else choose your remodeler for you. Not Angie, not Home Advisor, not Google, not a neighbor. It's up to you to prepare your project and to do the work yourself and lay the foundation for a successful project. Ben Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. And I know that nobody here is planning to fail. So we have to get you prepared to start the remodeling project. And that's what tonight's presentation is about, the first three steps that you must understand. And what tonight's presentation will do is to help you avoid critical remodeling mistake number one, which is beginning the remodeling process without being fully prepared. Far too many people begin underprepared or unprepared totally, and it ends up being a real problem. What's wrong with the description that I gave earlier of calling up remodelers or inviting them over to try to find out more about your project? Well, you lose control of the project right away to whomever you assign the idea of expert status. So if you pick one of the remodelers or two of the remodelers and you consider them the experts, you're going to go where they guide you as opposed to where you need to go. So that's one problem. What you often get, most people go with a remodeler or an architect wherever they lead them. So they end up in the wrong place. And why is that? And that's because of the third reason. That's because they don't know what your needs are. Only you know what your needs are. And a project that you invest tens of thousands of dollars and you end up not meeting your basic needs is just a horrible, horrible thing. You never want to have regrets after spending multiple thousands of dollars on a remodeling project. So we have to get prepared. Who else in the process, what architect, what remodeler, what neighbor, what friend, what designer could possibly know what will make your project successful in your mind? Who knows what needs it must meet or comply with in order to be a success to you? The answer is only you know this. So you are going to have to do a little bit of work so that you can describe to the team you hire exactly what you have in mind and exactly what the project needs to do to meet your needs. The first step that you need to take is to seize and maintain control of your project. Never give it away to the first person you invite over. You need to take the position mentally of being the boss of your project. If you can picture sitting behind the great big desk and the credenza behind you and the secretary outside, and you're running the company from that great big desk, you want to bring in people and interview them on the other side of your great big desk. And regardless of their skills, you're hiring them to fulfill a job. You're hiring them to fill a position. And if you have this mindset, this approach, you're going to be a lot more successful. You also want to define what you expect done. Before the boss can bring in people to evaluate and to interview, he has to put out a job description, which has a title, which has a job list of requirements, a list of prior experience that's required, a list of the items that are to be performed, and approximately what's going to be paid for that position. You are just about to do the same thing, which we're going to be discussing tonight. You have to prepare this packet of information for all of the employees that you're going to interview. So you want to define what you expect to be done, you want to list the goals of your project, and you want to figure out a little bit about what you're willing to pay to get that job complete. It's obviously a simplified description, an overview, but when you approach a professional, you do so with the information and the answers if you prepare this way and not just questions. So let's look here. This is the first step of the 3 steps we're going to cover, and it's called the elevator pitch. It is a description. It is a description of your project that you can memorize and deliver in 30 to 60 seconds. Now, every time you talk to somebody on the phone or in person, they need to understand clearly what it is that you're doing. You need to define it and memorize it. We're not going to say, oh, I'm doing a bathroom, or oh, I'm doing a kitchen. You see, we need to give them more information. You need to be more precise. While that is an accurate description, it is not one that communicates very clearly to people what you have in mind. So you have to give some details of the scope of work and what is going to be new or different. So here is an example. Instead of saying, remodel my kitchen, you might say something like, we're going to gut the current kitchen, remove one wall, install some new wood flooring, new cabinets and stone countertops, and we're going to add an island with counter seating for 4. Or if you're doing a bathroom, instead of saying, I'm going to do my bathroom over, you say, perhaps expand and remodel the master bath to include a double vanity, a separate soaking tub, a stand-up shower, and possibly a separate water closet. Oh, and I'd also like in-floor heat. These descriptions begin to really give some understanding to whomever you're talking to on the phone or in person at a shop, or whether it's your designer or whether it's a remodeler that you've brought in to discuss your project. So I want you to script a project description, an elevator pitch. And the reason it's called elevator pitch is because you have about the time that it takes an elevator to go from floor to floor to make your announcement. So you want your elevator pitch, your first draft, when you prepare it, to be short and sweet, clear and concise, to go beyond the very basics. And you want whoever hears it to get the feel for what you crave in your solution. And you're aiming for 30 or 45 seconds, and it's to be your vision for the project. If you can write this and you can memorize it and you can give it out each and every time that you talk to somebody about your project, you're off to the races. You're off on the right foot, and they will clearly grasp the idea that you are trying to accomplish. That is the first step. We want to make sure that you can do an elevator pitch for your project. It's a little bit of a work to get it done. You have to think clearly about your project. You have to craft this elevator pitch and rewrite it and say it out loud and memorize it, so that you can deliver it when you call somebody or when you see them in person or when you're talking later on to folks in the shops. So that's really how it will help you and what it is. And that's step one. If you can make an elevator pitch that clearly defines your project and the scope of it, to quickly communicate to people exactly what you're expecting, that's step one. Let's look now at step number two of the first three steps of things you need to know and do before you remodel. For you to remain in control and be the boss of your remodeling journey, you need to further define your project. It's time to get specific and let folks who may join your team know exactly what you need for the project to be successful. You remember that I said one of the failings of the traditional way of just inviting people to the house and talking to them, one of the failings was that you handed over control and that you might not get a project that truly met your needs because nobody but you understood what your needs were. And nobody but you understands what you need to get out of a project. So this is going to remedy it. We're going to look now at the next step in the process for you, which is the need list. The need list is exactly what you hear it to be. It is a list of needs. So what's the point? Why are we required to put together a need list? The reason is because no solution is ideal for you unless it fulfills your needs. The best it can be, if somebody else does it without a need list, is a generic solution. And you don't want to spend $40,000 or $50,000 on a generic kitchen or $25,000 or $30,000 on a generic master bathroom. You want to spend that money and get something that is perfect for you, but you're the only person who knows what perfect is. So if you're able to communicate your needs to the people who are going to help you design it and construct it, all the better. So you're the only one who can clearly define and describe what your project needs. Let's look at what the need list is not. Needs are not goals. Goals are project-related results. You might have a goal of updating your home. You may have a goal of spending under $50,000. You may have a goal of repairing some old things that were in disrepair previously. Goals can mean a lot of things, but needs are very specific items and features related to the project that's going to be done. So needs are not essential items. So in a bathroom, we don't have to mention that there's a toilet. There's always a toilet in a bathroom. We don't have to mention that there's a sink in a kitchen. There's always a sink in a kitchen. Now, if you have a very special item, for instance, in a kitchen, if your sink is a farmhouse sink or an apron sink, or your refrigerator is going to be a special style or type or size of refrigerator, or your range is not going to be a range, it's going to be a cooktop and double wall ovens. Now you mention that, okay? But we're not looking at just a list of essential items. We're looking at the specialized things that are customized just for you that are needs in your project. So what needs are? Needs are indispensable items and features. They are very different for each person, for each project. They are personal customizations. They are the things that are going to make your kitchen different than the one for the folks next door, across the street, or across the state. Each family has different needs. So even if you had identical homes, your remodeling project would have a different set of needs because what you require is different than what anyone else requires. Here is the other part of indispensable items and features that I like to drive home. These are needs. These are things without which you will not do the project. If the architect, if the designer, if the remodeler cannot come up with a solution that hits your budget and includes all of your needs, then you don't do the project. That's how important I view needs. So when you're making your need list, keep that in mind. Only put on things that are absolutely essential. needs can change over time. So I suggest that you err on the side of caution. And if you're thinking about whether it belongs on the need list, put it on. Start with it on the need list. Later on, if you review the list and you go, I really don't need that, I could do without it, or I have this other idea that would work instead, fine, cross it off. And that's why item 2 says if you change your mind later, remove it. And third is if you discover a brand new need later, add that. So what I want you to take away from this is your need list is a work in progress. It's something that you will continue to work on over the several weeks while you're considering your project, while you're getting this packet of information ready, while you're talking to designers and remodelers, and up until the time you sign the contract. So continue to look at your need list and keep it up to date. So here we go. You should be able to start a need list now with the things that we've discovered. You should be able to list the needs that you can identify for your type of project. You can describe any difficult to explain needs. For instance, if there's an item or a service or an idea that you'd like to include and it's not something that will be instantly grasped by everybody, then perhaps you write a sentence or two to help describe that. Or you find a photograph and you provide the photograph and you write some notes about the photograph of the item or the feature that you're trying to incorporate, so that you can even do a show and tell so that the team will understand your project vision. The more clearly you can help them understand your vision and see what you see, the more likely they can provide an accurate, successful solution for you. So a clear need list is critical to a successful project. That is item number 2, step number 2 of the first 3 steps that you need to know what to do before you remodel. So now we're going to take a look at step number 3 of the 3 first steps that you need to know what to do before you remodel. So you have your elevator pitch and you have a work in progress, your need list. So what do we do with all the rest of the things? Your desires and your maybes and your wishes. How do we communicate those? The things that aren't necessarily needs and aren't essential, but they would make the project very valuable and very exciting to you. How do we handle those things? Well, the answer is what I'm going to call, very snappy name here, the wish list. The wish list. What is the wish list? Well, it's for exactly what I was just describing. The wish list is non-need list items, big, major, non-need list items. These are not needs. They are desired optional items and features, and they get included in your project when your budget allows it. Okay? So that's pretty clear. Let's look at a list that gives you a few examples of what people might consider a wish list item. A fireplace, a window seat, premium level materials, for instance, a quartz countertop in the kitchen, a vaulted or tray ceiling, a walk-in closet as opposed to a reach-in closet, and a frameless glass shower enclosure. So it varies by project and it varies by person. What is a need or a wish for you could be a very different list for somebody else doing the very same type of project. So only you can determine which are wish list items in your case. Then what I ask most of my clients to do is this: prioritize your wish list. What I'd like you to do is list the most desired items at the top and work your way down to the lower priority or the least desired items on the wish list. What this will help you do is get your mind straight about which one's most critical to include, budget permitting. Then you can move items up or down as your priorities change. You can review and revise the list as you go through the process and learn more. And you should try to become aware of the costs of these items that are on the wish list. And the reason I say that is because if you get to the point where they run an estimate of the design and they realize that there, let's say, is $3,500 left in your budget, you may have one item on the wish list that costs $3,000, or you may have 5 or 6 items that you can get from your wish list that total about $3,000. Which one would you choose under those circumstances? If you have some idea of the cost of the different items on your wish list, it will make that choice much, much easier when that time arrives. So prioritize it in terms of what you want the most to what you want the least, and revise that as time goes by. Keep that up to date as you progress through the project. You can review and update the list and be aware of the cost. And remember, it's a work in progress. So go ahead and make your wish list. Step 3, make your wish list. List all your first draft wish items. Make any necessary alterations as time goes by. Prioritize the items based on your desire. Don't worry. This is just a first draft. You get a chance to update it and revise it, and that's what I say here. Revisit and update your wish list frequently. Okay? Those are your first 3 steps. Those are what you want to perform and do and have ready so that you can get a good footing as you begin the remodeling process. There are obviously more steps involved than these 3. We haven't talked about budget, and we haven't talked about a lot of the selections that you're going to make and so forth. And there is much more detail involved even in the steps that we've covered. But this gets you off on the correct foot when you start a project. I don't want to see you gamble or risk your investment. I want to see you put it to good use. So please don't call people in blindly and hand over control of your project to them. Maintain control. Start with an elevator pitch description, a very clear need list, and a wish list, and you'll be taking great steps. And when you do call your experts and when you do call some people, professionals to help you, they'll be able to tune right in to what it is that you need and want out of your project. So take control and make sure that your needs get met. This is how you eliminate critical remodeling mistake number 1, and then you move ahead through the remodeling process with confidence toward a successful result. If you were intrigued by the simplicity and the logic of this approach to remodeling success, then you should enroll in my class, Remodeling Success Blueprint. The course takes you step by step through the remodeling process and guides you through the remodeling minefield toward a successful project result. You can sign up at jimmolinelli.com and you can review the details of the course, the bonus materials, the coaching options. They're all displayed on the course page. If you enjoyed this seminar, please share it with your friends. I post the videos of each seminar on YouTube. The links are shown on my website on the seminar page. Approximately a day after the broadcast, I get those links posted so that you can review or replay any of the videos. Be sure to tune in weekly on Tuesday nights at 9:30 p.m. for any new seminars. The topics, the links, and the note downloads for all seminars, including tonight's, are going to be posted on the website as well. So, thank you. I'm Jim Molinelli, the Remodeling Professor. Thanks for watching. Remodel with confidence, everyone.